Good morning everyone, how's it going today? So today I bring you a very quick video showing you the two new models that were released by Groq earlier this week. And the idea is that these are two very useful models and probably the best in the market when it comes to function calling. So we're going to be going over the blog post of the release, and also I'm going to be showing you how to use them on a Jupyter notebook really quick. Okay, so let's get right into that. Alright, so earlier this week Groq released two new models in working with Colab. And the idea is that these are two models that are fine-tuned to work with function calling. Now, what does that mean? This means that essentially you usually have general language models such as Claude Sonnet, GPT-4 that work pretty good with pretty much any kind of task, and they are also pretty good at function calling. However, if you want to have a model that specializes at function calling, that one's probably going to beat all of the other ones, and that's essentially what's going on with this one. What Groq did is they took the open source Llama 3 model and they fine-tuned it in order to be great at function calling, which is going to be super useful for creating your agents, okay? If you remember correctly, I think it was yesterday or the day before that we published a video showing how to create an agent using the React pattern. And that worked pretty well, but we did not use any function calling language model over there. And in a future video, I think probably this week or the week after, we're going to be creating an agent using function calling, and this is going to be super useful for us to do that. So let's go over this very quick blog post. So we have that they created these two new models, Llama 3 Groq 70B tool use and Llama 3 Groq 8B tool use. So it's a 70 billion parameter model and another 8 billion parameter model. And something pretty cool that they say is that according to the Berkeley function calling leaderboard, it is the highest performing model in the market right now. And if you want to see that, you can actually click right here and you will see the actual leaderboard. However, they are not there yet. I don't know if they're going to be included soon, but the idea is that this is an open source leaderboard. And the code in order to perform these tests is actually in their GitHub repository. So what the people from Groq did is they went to this repository and they ran the test right there and the benchmark. And so they ran it, and what they got is that they actually, I mean, you can go check the commit where they ran the tests and you can see their results right here. So we have the first model now. I mean, according to this benchmark, the best model for tool use is Llama 3 Groq 70B. The second one is Llama 3 Groq 8B. And then after that comes the other models that are in the website right now. So apparently the best function calling models in the market as of today. Now, of course, this comes with a problem because this is a model that was fine-tuned especially for this, which makes this model, I mean, these two models super good for calling functions and for creating these kinds of agents. But if what you want to do is to have a more general language model, these are probably not going to be the ones that you want to use. So what they recommend is that actually when you want to create an agent that uses function calling, you implement a step called query analysis, okay? And the idea behind this is that you're going to send your query to your agent or to a query analysis layer before it gets to your agent. And it is this step that is going to decide whether or not you're going to be using a function calling specialized language model or a more general language model. If it's a query that requires tool calling, then we can analyze it, and then the query analysis part is going to define that it actually requires you to use a function calling agent and a function calling language model, and it's going to route the query towards one of these models. And then if it's a regular query, it's going to be sending that to a more general language models such as Llama 3 70B, Claude Sonnet, etc. Okay, so that's the overall blog post, and that's what they advise you to do. Now let's actually take a look at the model and test it real quick. Okay, great. Okay, so in order to test it, I actually just prepared a very quick Jupyter notebook here for you. So what I did was essentially just pip install Groq, which is our Groq right here. And the idea behind all of this is that we're going to essentially just be calling the language model as they ask you to do in the Kickstart, okay? So that's essentially what I did. I went and got an API key. Then I initialized my client right here with my API key. And then here is where the fun part starts. So I actually just copied right here a very, very simple system prompt that is actually in their Hugging Face page. Because yes, this is a Groq model, and it's of course available in their Groq platform, but it is also available here on Hugging Face. However, I am of course going to be using it from the Groq cloud, because I mean, if it's already on Groq, you probably want the fastest architecture, right? So I'm going to be using it from Groq right here, and let's do that. So I just copied this initialization of the client right here, have it right here, and the template is this one right here. Let's go over it real quick. And essentially it's just asking the language model to return a JSON instead of a regular text, okay? So here it goes. You are a function calling AI model. You are provided with function signatures with function signatures with tools XML tags. You may call one or more functions to assist with the user query. Don't make assumptions about what values to plug into the functions. For each function, return a JSON object with function name and arguments within a tool call XML tags as follows. And then we have an example right here of how a response from this language model is going to look like. So here we have the name, which is going to be the function name, and the arguments, which is going to be our arguments for our function. Now, if you checked the previous video where we created a React agent without a function calling language model, you remember that what we actually did was we parsed the response from the language model using regex. And yeah, I mean, that was okay for that example, but in production and with more sophisticated frameworks, you probably want to use a function calling language model that actually returns a JSON file like this one, so that it's much easier to parse, okay? And since this language model is fine-tuned for that, that's great. Then you pass in the available tools also within XML tags, and this of course makes it much easier for your language model to understand what actually it has to pass in to what actually it has to return as a response, okay? Then here we have just one example, which is one tool. The tool name is get the current weather. So essentially you would have a function, a Python function called get current weather. And here you have the properties. It allows you to enter the location and the unit that you want. And then of course the location is a simple string and the unit is also a simple string. Here we have an example. Where is the example? Get current weather, arguments, location San Francisco, and the unit was Celsius. So that is the system prompt message. And what we're going to do is we're going to we passed in this system prompt, essentially just telling it what we expect from it. And then we just pass in a simple query saying, what is the weather like in New York City, to see what it returns. So let's run that. We run the chat completion and we print it, and here we have it. Here we have the function call. We have an ID for the function call, the name of the function that was returned, get current weather, and the arguments, which is the location, New York City, and the unit, which is Celsius. So there you go. That's a very quick example of how to use these new models from Groq Cloud. And we're going to be using them in a future tutorial where we're going to be creating another React agent, but this time with a more sophisticated language model that is actually aimed at using the function tolling capabilities from these language models, okay? So it's going to be kind of a second part to the previous tutorial that we saw here a couple days ago. So yeah, this was a very quick video and just a showcase of this new piece of tech that was released this week. Let me know if you like this kind of short videos, just showcasing this new technologies and just a very quick overview of it. Or if you prefer the longer kind of tutorials that we have been seeing so far in the channel. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. It was great sharing this moment with you, and we'll see you next time.